What it is, Brad Lee, back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I have a highly impressed guest, Jen Cohen, in the house.
You first said treat. You changed it, but okay, I'll take that.
No, I have a real treat, as I always do for the Bomb Squad. Jen Cohen in the house, folks. If you guys don't know who Jen Cohen is, you're about to. You can find her on Instagram, The Real Jen Cohen, TikTok, The Real Jen Cohen. YouTube, though, it's Habits and Hustle.
Yes, it is.
And folks, she also has a podcast.
Called Habits. Yeah.
Very popular one.
Yeah, it is a very
Habits and
popular one.
Hustle. And now you get her on Dropping Bombs. So welcome, Jen.
Thank you very much.
Now, it says here, because my team writes this thing that I'm supposed to read like a radio DJ.
You got a great voice for radio.
Well, they must think I'm a radio DJ because here's the type of things they write for me.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Buckle up, folks, because today's episode of Dropping Bombs is bringing the heat. We've got Jennifer Cohen, a badass wellness entrepreneur, strategic advisor, and educator. Her TED Talk, The Secret to Getting Anything You Want in Life, went viral with over 5 million views. But anyway, I don't do that. So
Yeah. You just did it, though, and you did it really well.
But I do like to let them know who's in the seat and why should they listen. So you're like, you have many reasons. You're multifaceted. You started out in the health and fitness space, and then you kind of probably developed some sort of product and or app.
I sure did. But
And then you sold it?
I did.
To who?
Weight Watchers.
No one's ever heard of that company. Which one?
Weight Watchers.
Okay. How big was that check?
It was okay. I could have done better. I had a lot of partners. Pretty big, but not big enough. Not big enough.
How much went to the Hip National Bank?
Not enough.
Do you know where the Hip National Bank is located?
No, where's that? Yeah, not enough. Like I'm saying, not enough. You see, I learned that to me was a very good that was a major learning lesson for me, that entire thing.
The exit.
Well, not just the exit.
Did you start that company?
Yeah. So what I was going to say, why that was such a big learning, like that was a major learning lesson for me, was that I didn't believe in myself enough to do it on my own. So I spent a lot of time finding and looking and searching for somebody to back me. So the guy that I did it with, who's great, the CEO of the company is amazing. It wasn't him, but we borrowed. We got someone to give us $100,000 as an investment, which, by the way, we could have both paid for on our own. But we thought if we had this guy who had
how much did you have to give up for that?
50% of the company.
Dang,
51% of the company.
Why didn't you just buy it yourself?
I know. Well, this is why I want to tell people that people have to bet on themselves, because what we tend to do is we tend to overestimate other people's ability and underestimate our own. And this was a very big example.
Yeah, but sometimes it's the opposite. You overestimate your abilities.
You could. But in this situation, I think most of the time people get stopped and stumped by their own self-doubt. That's what I believe. And so what we do is we under-index what we can do, and we over-index what someone else can do. And then we give them the onus to make our destiny for us. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So we didn't believe in ourselves because this guy had a fancy, shiny name.
What was his fancy, shiny name?
I don't want to say his name on it because I don't think people really know this whole thing, but he's from San Francisco. He's part of the Silicon Valley crew. And, it wasn't a lot of money, but at the end of the day, what he wanted to do with the company and where he was taking it was kind of like off track.
What crew is he a part of?
I like you very much, but I'm still not going to tell you, only because I don't want to embarrass somebody.
You said he's part of some crew?
No, like he's a very successful Silicon Valley technology guy.
Oh, okay.
Right. And you probably don't know him, but what I mean, he's had some successes, and he really just loved the health and fitness space. And basically it was an app, and the idea was that we were actually doing very well, and he wanted to take the company and go in this direction. He's zigzagging all over.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, he believed in it financially.
Right.
And you didn't.
Well, that is my point, Brad, that I think that I believed in it, but I still had.
You're like, not that much.
I didn't believe in myself enough to do it on my own because I didn't know the technology space. And what I did was, what I think a lot of people do is that we think that because we don't have a skill set, we think that, okay, you know what, like we've never done this before, so therefore we're not going to be good at it. But what I realized and what I learned early on from that experience is like a lot of skills are transferable. Like I actually could have done it on my own. I didn't need to know the technology space. You
needed bigger huevos.
Yes, I did. And I learned from that, but that was, like I said, I learned a lot. And from that moment on, I kind of realized and made an oath to myself that I'm never going to do that again. And I will never over-index somebody else's capacity and capability over my own to that level and to that degree.
That's a bomb.
Is it? Okay.
Want me to add something?
Yeah, please.
When you said, I could have paid for it, we could have paid for it, but we didn't. Here's the rule. Never borrow money unless you need some.
Totally true. Totally true.
Why are you borrowing it?
I'm going to tell you why. You don't know what you don't know. And in my head, I thought, you know what? We would stand a better chance to have a strategic partner who has all these contacts and all this access that we didn't think that we had in this particular space. Yes.
Yeah, it's a prudent thing to do, think about.
But a lot of people, though, I think this is probably where you've probably.
By the way, whatever you do in hindsight shouldn't count. So a lot of people are doing what you do, where you're like, oh man, I should have, but you didn't. And by the way, it could have went the other way, and then you would have been smiling. So at the end of the day, it is what it is.
True. I will say anything in the life is like you can never go back in time. And truthfully, I believe that rejection is always better than regret. And I think that I at that point, I did regret. I don't regret anything. I learned a lot, and I would now not do something that way again. I started to believe in myself and my abilities more from that experience.
What if I give you a few app ideas?
Yeah, well then I would do it on my own. No, I'm joking. But I would say you seem to me that you're very alpha and that you take a lot of risks.
I don't know about alpha.
You seem like you are.
Well, to me, the word alpha means like, I'll tear someone's head off.
No, I think more like you are someone that will take a lot of your type A personality.
That I would agree with.
Right. And you take a lot of risks in terms of you'll play with your own money. You are all those things. Like I can see you feeling you have a lot of confidence in that area.
I think that's just called masculine.
I would say that. Yeah. But a lot of times I'm putting those two together. Like a lot of men these days are not so masculine.
Well, I mean, alpha again to me means like, I'll kick your fucking ass. Like the alpha male walks into a room to all the other fucking, betas. That's like fucking, hey, dude, he'll kick your ass. Well, if he'll kick your ass and he can kick your ass, well, then you're not the alpha. Well, who's the alpha? The biggest, baddest one. Well, again, I'm not the biggest, baddest dude on the planet, so I'm not an alpha, but I am masculine.
Yeah, okay, I will say this. The way I think about alpha, I agree with that. I think that it's a definition that I feel as someone who has confidence, who you could be silent and alpha too, who feel they can take control, they can lead. Usually
real alphas that are the baddest motherfucker in the room.
Exactly.
They're not the ones with the biggest mouth.
100%.
They're the ones being quiet. And again, you don't even know they're the alpha. The one that's talking the loudest is usually not the alpha, but sometimes they are.
It's usually the strong, silent type that's usually the alpha. But I think it's like an inner confidence and an inner belief in themselves, and who has the ability to lead and take control. That's how I see it.
That's masculine.
You don't think that masculine and alpha, they're very closely related?
Well, I don't know the definition. We'd have to look it up. But just in my mind, when I think alpha, I think the biggest and baddest. So if you're the alpha dog, you're the toughest fucking dog in the group. You're all dogs, but there's one that's the toughest.
The toughest, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I could say, I'm the alpha dude here. Well, am I around a bunch of freaking 14-year-olds? Like, are there other grown men around? How do I know they're not mixed martial art champions? Listen, I'm 55. I didn't do mixed martial arts my whole life. Fought a little here and there. I can take care of myself, but I wouldn't walk into a freaking bar and say, I kick any man's ass in this place. To me, that's the alpha.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I just think that how I think about it in my head is a little bit different. Like it is those are masculine traits.
You're contributing alpha to leader and leader
and inner confidence, and someone who can take control of the situation, can lead the room.
That's me. Now
who's
you're
confident,
talking.
Who has a high sense of self. Who?
But I'm an alpha.
But maybe you're not an.
Fuck
you're right.
you. I'm an alpha.
Maybe you're not an alpha. I take it back. But
no,
you are.
I am an alpha.
But I guess the sense that I get that if you had a company, you would feel right away. Like I think also experience breeds confidence, right? So if you have the experience to know what you've seen yourself accomplish and do something, you have the much more confidence and self-esteem to do that again and again.
Where do you think confidence comes from?
I think confidence comes from exactly that, from following through in your commitments, doing something over and over again and getting better and better.
Wouldn't that be discipline?
No, discipline is consistency in doing something even when you don't want to, no matter how motivated you are.
And what's confidence?
Confidence is something that you get from discipline by doing the things you don't want to do over and over again.
Can I collaborate?
Of course you can.
Can I contribute?
The real Bradley.
Well, only because I think confidence is just simply the memory of winning. So if you got in 100 cage fights and won them all, your confidence goes up. Why? Because you can remember winning. You remember winning. So confidence is the memory of winning. Mm-hmm. So to me,
that's a great way of putting it too. I love that.
So because again, like let's say me and you engage in a chess tournament. Well, you have 100 players, I have 100 players, and I just beat 100 players in a row. How much more confident am I that I'm about to take you down?
Absolutely. But it all kind of runs into each other, right? Like if you have the memory of doing it, it's because you did
create the memory.
You create the memory by doing something and remembering that by doing something over and over again and following through and getting better at it, or knowing that you can do it. Like you can also get confidence by just doing hard things, right? Knowing that you can put yourself in a situation and follow through and accomplish it gives you another building block.
What is that? That's a win.
It's a win. Totally.
Yeah. So again, you gotta just stack the wins. I say
stack the wins
to build confidence. You stack the wins.
100%.
And people always say, well, I don't understand. What does that mean? Like for example, I could say, man, I'm going to make $100,000 today, and if I make 98,000. A lot of people would say, oh, you came in close. That was pretty good. You almost made it. You almost got it. You almost won. But anyone that's telling the truth that's not a win. If the 100 was the mark and I came in light, I'm light.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be a win. So what would it hurt me to say, hey, I'm going to brush my teeth in the morning and then get up and brush my teeth and acknowledge that that's a win. So now you, believe it or not, look stupid thinking about and or celebrating brushing your teeth. But I assume some of you don't even brush your teeth at all based on the way your breath smells. But I'm serious. Like that to me is a win. Every time I brush my teeth, that is a win. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge wins. I acknowledge working out as a win. I acknowledge hydration as a win. I acknowledge eating right first thing in the morning, a win. I acknowledge working out, raising the heart rate, a win. So when I wake up, I'm winning all morning long.
That's why morning routine, in addition to night routines, just as important, are wins, right? Because it's like doing the mundane. Yeah. No one likes to do the same mundane habits over and over again.
Unless it's winning.
But doing them accumulate, like if you accumulate those, they add up to a massive win, right?
Yeah, but they're all wins.
All wins.
Most people just need to shift their perspective. So if you hate working out, just start thinking that's a win.
It is a win.
And then when you work out, celebrate the win every day, you get addicted to winning.
Also.
And you get confident.
100%. It also trains your brain how to be disciplined, how to be patient. A lot of life lessons and foundational skills you can get just by working out. And I think that it's actually a microcosm for the rest of the world and for the rest of your life in any area. Like I believe anybody who's successful usually takes fitness to some degree very seriously.
Successful how? Financially?
In every way in life. Because it teaches you I'm telling you, it teaches you.
But how many successful people are there? Not many.
Not many, but the ones that you know, let me ask you something. The
I'll
ones
bet you most people, I would challenge that they know any. Based on your definition.
Based on, you mean successful people?
Based on your definition.
Okay, but what I'm saying for those who do know successful people, I would imagine probably 90+% of them who are successful, there's an element of fitness in their lives that they take seriously.
Do you know how many fit people I know that are broke as shit?
How many?
Most of them.
Well, but you can be fit and not be successful. I didn't say you have to be.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is the ones who are successful usually have a piece of fitness that in their life that they do take seriously because it's a breeding ground and a training ground for success.
Well, again, I would agree with that in theory. Why? Because my definition of success would be you're somewhat fit, but there are successful people by all other, measuring.
I'm not talking
fat.
about
like you're saying. There's no fat, out of shape, successful people.
Listen, of course there are, but what I'm saying is, I would say
I wouldn't think there are. Do you know why?
Okay, why?
Because they're not. And how can you be that if you're out of shape? Because you should be, and we all should be conscious of it. And my point is like for example, if someone said, "Oh, you can be successful without having money," I don't think you can. I don't think you can be successful when you're way out of shape. I just don't think you can be successful that way. Why? Well, because, dude, successful to me is checking all the boxes.
And that's what I was going to say that. I was going to say, so who cares if you're professionally successful or just financially successful? That's 1/8 of the pie, right? How are you in every other area of your life? That's what I want to know. Yeah, I agree. I'm saying, like, to me, if your metric system for success is only how much money you have in the bank, then that's not the same metric system that I'm using.
Hey, and you want to know something else that's crazy to observe? When people look around at each one of those areas you're talking about, let's say I'm making a lot of money, but I'm fat. Or I'm kick-ass ripped, but I'm not making much money. In any of those areas, relationships, like I'm a really good dad, but I'm a less than a desirable husband. I'm a freaking killer employee, but I'm a terrible dad. All of the boxes that you want to check to be quote unquote successful. Because to me, my definition is check all the boxes. What's crazy is if you look at the difference when they're this, but they're not that, and they're that, but they're not this, it's the focus that they're putting on those things. Mm-hmm. So in reality, if someone just realized, hey, what focus am I putting on this one that I'm crushing in? Why don't I just put the same amount of focus on that one and I'll bet you I'll crush, and they will. That's the crazy part. And then pretty soon the question is, how many of those can you handle at a time?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to ask you a question. Okay.
Please.
All right. So besides the usual character traits that people talk about for success, right? We're talking about like how fitness, of course, is a something that people do, in terms to help them become sick, or that's train their brain to be successful. Okay. Besides that, right? The typical traits that we all talk about ad nauseum, right? Like grit, resilience, perseverance, tenacity, right? I want to ask you, what do you think other than those is another very important character trait to have for success?
Well, I believe that there's a few. You're talking about character traits?
Yeah. Like what's one trait that you would think that's kind of
empathy.
Empathy is a very good one. Okay. Anything else?
Well, it depends on if you call intuition a trait.
I would say, I think intuition's a part of it.
Because again, there's a lot of reasons that I think lend to success. One of which is empathy, but like the number one, are you asking me what do I think the most important trait is?
I think one that's been kind of like people like bypass it and overlook it and really focus on the grit, the tenacity, the boldness, all those things.
Well, I would say again, the more charisma or persuasive You are like the more charismatic, or if you have the ability to sell, you're more than likely successful.
Well, sales is a number one skill set to have by far. That's hands down. Can I tell you what I think it is?
What?
I think it's likability. And I think within likability, a lot of the things that you just mentioned are a part of it. Empathy, authenticity. I think humility is a big one. Enthusiasm. I think all of these things make people, if you have those qualities, that makes you really likable. And if you're really likable, you're really able to take your success and break through a ceiling. That I think that a lot of times that if you're not likable, you won't get that opportunity. You won't get that job. You won't make that money or get that business deal. So I think people...
Because you're not likable.
Right. So people under-index the importance of likability and over-index other things like the grit, like the perseverance.
What do you think is most important? Likability or trustability?
I think part of likability is being trustworthy, but it's up to the person to be able to show that. So then this lends the other part.
So what's the most important?
I think likability.
So it's more important to be liked than trusted. Yes?
I think that when somebody if somebody is likable, they give off a certain impression that people will excuse a lot of other behaviors if someone is likable because they want to be around somebody who's likable. So what I think is interesting is trustworthiness is, again, that's a feeling. Like, I could be like, I kind of like Brad. I like Brad, but I'm not really sure I trust him, right? But if I like you, I'm still probably going to like hang out with you or text with you and call you and see you, which then can maybe, my opinion of your trust can maybe change. But the baseline of that is I have to like you enough to even find out, right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but it sounds like you're questioning that.
No, I'm not. I'm using this as an example. You're
thinking out loud.
Yeah, I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah, and now you're looking for a cosigner.
No, I'm not. I believe this to be true.
I wouldn't cosign for that.
You wouldn't?
No.
You think trustworthy makes someone likable?
Trust is more important than like. Like, I don't need to like you as much as I need to trust you. If I trust you, I'd give you the keys to my safe. If I like you, but I don't trust you, I'm not giving you the keys to my safe because I trust that you'll steal it or fuck it up somehow.
But I guess this is my question to you. Can you
trust someone I don't like?
Can you trust somebody you don't like and like someone you don't trust? This is my point.
Yeah.
You can like someone you don't trust?
Yeah.
Really? How?
Yeah. Well, again, I know people that I like, I just don't trust them, which is why I don't do business with them, which is why I don't really hang out with them. But I like them. Really,
okay, but that doesn't really work, right? Because do you really like them, or do you get a kick out of them and you don't hate them? You think they're entertaining, but do you like them? Like, to me, if I like somebody, it's because they make me feel a certain way. They give me a certain feeling that encompasses and embodies.
Do you like me?
I'm not sure yet, actually.
Well, when you get to know, let me know. Then I want to know. As soon as you say, yeah, I do like you, then I'm going to say, how do I make you feel?
Okay, well, I like your voice. You've got a great voice.
Thank you.
You're you have like
my studio's beautiful.
And the studio is a knockout. Beautiful. But I don't know if I trust you
What
yet.
about the whole office?
Beautiful office. And that green room is just to die for. The whole package is great. I like the whole thing. But that still doesn't necessarily mean that I trust you, or you know what I mean.
You don't trust me.
I'm just using this as an example. Do I like you? Yeah, I like you. But then, the question is like, well, we don't know each other, right? So the baseline is, okay, I like you enough to get to know you better. Like, you didn't turn me off. Let's say you didn't do anything to be unlikable, right?
Quite the opposite.
Right. Quite the opposite. So you are likable. So then I'm just saying this is more of a broad, like a broad scope of what would be a quality or a trait that would make somebody successful. And again, it's not just professionally, it's also personally, right? Like, if you want to have a relationship,
you'd have to trust me.
I would definitely have to trust you.
Not just like me.
But I have to like you first enough to get to know if I trust you.
No. You can trust somebody without liking them.
I mean, I feel like you have to, I get what you're saying. Like, you're making sense to me, right? Like, if I could trust you, but not really well, I still think that, yeah, like the safe was a good example.
How about this? If you knew somebody would not harm your family and they needed a place to stay, you didn't really like them, but they were in a big, bad situation, and you knew you would be safe.
Yeah, but that's not the same.
No, you knew you would be safe. Would you let that person into your home? Yes or no? Give him some food. Let him. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You don't really like him, but you do trust him. So you're going to let him in because A, you're a nice person and you're not an asshole and everyone needs help. But now answer this question. You love the guy, but he showed signs of instability and you are not very sure he won't kill you and rape your children. Are you letting him sleep at your house?
No, but that is a whole different ball.
Then that means trust is more important than like. Because I got to go to get some shelter because you trusted me. You trusted that I wouldn't hurt your family. You trusted me. You didn't really like me that much, but guess what? It didn't matter. You trusted me. Trust is more important than like. That's all I'm saying.
Are you going to drop a bomb?
Even though you are correct in where you're saying, generally, if you trust someone, you like them. Okay, generally speaking. But what's more important was the question. And the answer, and I'm going to call for a vote, is trust is more important.
Drop a bomb.
Do you agree?
I was going to say something else. I think that these are extremes.
I like to be literally.
This is literally literal because these are extremes, right?
That's why they call me literally.
Do they really call you literally? Literally? I mean, actually, it would be great if they did. That should be your nickname. Because I'm saying this is Bradley.
My nickname in high school, I was going to tell you, but I won't.
Okay, go ahead, tell me.
No.
I want to know.
It would be considered inappropriate.
Okay, if you haven't met me yet, I'm the most anti-woke liberal you can meet. So please tell me, and I will not hold it against you. Trust me.
Proceed. It was inappropriate.
So you won't tell me then?
Well, I mean, it was just stupid.
Okay, well,
because it's past now. But
okay,
it would have
now
been.
you're rude. Now you
it would
can't
have been.
tell me.
It would have been funny.
Okay,
and
well,
then,
you thought about it
and
too
then
long.
I would have thought to myself, well, that was inappropriate. And then I would have thought, why did I say that? Why? Well, to be funny. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't have been funny.
Would you think that would make you unlikable?
No, what I'm trying to do is be a little bit more hosty. Because my comments because when this drops, I'll get 1 million comments and everyone will be battling over what I'm saying versus what you're saying. But a lot of times they'll say, why are you interrupting? And, that was inappropriate because I'll say like juvenile stupid shit.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm going to try to raise the level of intelligence.
All right. So you're going to elevate the podcast now?
That's right.
Okay. That's good. Let me see how that goes.
I'm going to pay it back to the Bomb Squad by elevating it.
Elevating the podcast. Okay. I can appreciate that.
That's why I'm starting to have intelligent guests lately.
Were you having some dumbos on here?
All my guests in the past were all dum-dums.
Really? Until
Zeros.
when? Until today?
No, just joking.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who you've had on this podcast before, but now I'm going to go back and check. I'm going to go back and check now.
You should.
I will. I was going to say, though, this is actually, I wanted just finish this one thing about likability, trustability.
Are you from Canada?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell?
Well, when you said a boat.
About, also when I say out.
Why with the Wonder Woman thing?
Oh, this is because, do you want to hear the story? It's actually a very good story. Do you know who Lisa Bilyeu is?
Yes.
So Lisa Bilyeu came over to my house like a bunch of years ago, and she was wearing this like tiny little Wonder Woman necklace, like this big, right? And I really liked it. I'm like, oh, that's really cute, because it was a really cute necklace. And I'm like, I really like your necklace, Lisa. And she took off her necklace and gave it to me. And I was like, well, that was so nice. And so she gave me the necklace. And then whenever I would wear that necklace, someone would always comment on it. And so then I would buy the same necklace for all. I didn't want to give them my necklace because I liked it, but I would always buy a necklace for somebody whenever they commented, because they're cheap. These were like $30 on Amazon, and I bought it for like 20 girls. And then I felt like I was like people like were and me too. Like I felt when I wore it, it kind of like gave me this Batman effect. You know the whole Batman effect theory?
No.
I'll tell you about that in a second. And then because of it, I ended up going and getting like a Wonder Woman that was like 1,000 times the size of that little one, because it gave me that feeling of Batman effect, which means there's a whole theory that there are two groups of kids, right? And the first group of kids were asked to do a task. And the second group of kids were asked to do the same task, but they got to wear a cape when they did the task. The kids that wore a cape while doing the task did the task for 30% longer because they felt empowered by this cape. And that was kind of how I feel when I wear this necklace. It's kind of like my cape. It gives me like a feeling of like Wonder Woman, like powerful, strong, that type of thing. And so I wear it every single day. And all these women that I've given this necklace to, but a much smaller one from when I did it from years ago, all have now done the same thing with the women that they see. So everyone was kind of buying everybody these Wonder Woman necklaces to kind of give these women a feeling of empowerment and strength. And it became like a little phenomenon. And it became a reminder that we're strong. We're powerful.
Yeah. See, it's a reminder. It's not giving you the stuff.
It's a reminder, exactly. You know, you really are literal and very exact, which is good.
Well, because I was trying to say the other day on a post that I made, I don't know if it came across, but like women are already powerful. Women are already amazing, let's call them creatures, if you will.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
True. And so a lot of times, especially women, and usually they're like feminist women, meaning like they're man haters for some reason. They want to act like, you know, hey, we deserve this and we're better than that. And it's like, don't you know that? Because if you knew that, you wouldn't be sitting there trying to tell everybody.
Right. Well, that's back to your alpha comment, right? Like the people who really feel it, the people who know, and they don't have to tell everybody. But
the cape theory and the Wonder Woman thing, or whether it's a bracelet so you can dodge bullets, or they're reminders that, hey, we are badass. But the cape theory I've never heard. That's interesting, and I could totally see why. Because when because your mind, that's what it is. It's ultimately the power of the mind. Well, if I wear a cape and think I'm a superhero, I'm going to lift longer, stronger, heavier. Because I'm powerful. And just my mind, because of the cape, I'm a superhero. I just identify, my identity changes. And so does my actions, and so does my choices, and so does my mood, my vibration, if you will, because we're all just vibration.
Yeah, your vibration does elevate and change, and that's a great word, the reminder that you are. Because when I wear that, how many people are like, oh, that Wonder Woman necklace. Every time someone says that, I remember, oh yeah, I'm wearing it, and it does give you that. Go ahead, drop the bomb.
No.
Oh, okay.
I decide when that happens.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to do that for your thing. I for the whole, your whole reminder, brain.
Hey.
Everything, by the way, starts with your brain, right? Like you can lift more, you can lift heavier, longer, you can run farther and faster. Is it your brain? Yeah, like your brain gives out way before your physical. Your brain controls everything.
Where's your mind?
That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about the actual brain.
No, well, you're saying brain.
What I'm saying,
and I'm trying to figure out,
literally,
is the brain and the mind two different things?
I think, I mean, these are very good questions, Brad, and I don't know how to answer this. I would think that I would think the brain is the actual physical matter. The mind is the metaphysical.
So there's another dimension?
Well, I think your emotional brain, like the way you think, versus the matter, like your actual physical matter of your head, of your brain.
Has any scientists or doctors located where the mind is in the brain?
Well, actually, is it the hypothalamus? I don't know. Don't quote me on this. I don't know, and I don't want to get screamed at online when you post this. I don't know. I'm sure they have, And I'm sure there's a lot of research on this. But I know if I say to myself, don't give up, keep on going. You can run faster. You can run harder. You can lift heavier. You can do one more pull up. I'm just making up. Or you can make one more cold call. You can go to one more meeting.
Would that be right brain or left brain?
Isn't it right brain? I think it is right. Isn't left creative? I don't know. I don't remember. You can Google it. You're asking me good questions, and unfortunately, I'm not like a scientist or a neuro scientist. But you can Google it. Maybe you can tell both of us.
Well, if it's important, I shall.
It is very important.
Is it important to you?
I think so. It's important to. It sounds like you're interested in these things.
No, I'm just trying to find out more.
Yes. Well, I think.
Like, I don't know if it's your prefrontal cortex or if it's the medulla oblongata or the hypothalamus.
I think it's the prefrontal cortex or
would it
the
be the cerebrum,
hypothalamus.
the cerebellum, or the medulla oblongata?
Do I look like a brain doctor? I don't know the exact physicality of where it is. Perhaps it's a combination of all. Why don't you Google it or call someone in here who's maybe you have like a neuroscientist on call here.
You're talking to one.
Oh, are you a neuroscientist?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then which area is it?
I just didn't get my degree.
I was going to say, you do software on the side?
I don't code, no.
No. Okay. Well, I don't know how to answer
But I do pick apart and dissect neuroplasticity.
I don't think you can pick apart. Neuroplasticity is the matter that changes as you change. You can change your neuroplasticity.
That's what I do.
With behaviors.
I study it. I tear it apart.
Well, you don't even have to tear it apart. You can just do it by changing your behaviors and your physical patterns of what you do.
You could even do it by changing your state or changing your vibration.
You can. You know how you do all of that? You can go for a walk and do that long enough for a certain period of time, and your neuroplasticity will change.
So back to the Wonder Woman necklace. It reminds you that you're a badass. And so you wear it every single day. Do you think if you didn't wear it, you wouldn't feel that way? Has it become a talisman of sort?
It's an interesting question. I don't wear it all the time. I don't wear it when I work out. I don't wear it when I sleep.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, isn't it though? I guess because my neuroplasticity has changed already from wearing it for so long.
Because you have confidence in those areas. Sleeping, how good are you at sleeping?
I'm good at sleeping. How good are you?
How about fitness?
I think I'm okay in the fitness area too.
You've excelled there.
I think I've done okay. I mean, what's excelling?
You don't need the necklace for those areas.
No, but
where do you wear it for?
Business? Talking to you, I'm going to need a double one. I'm going to get a double necklace.
You're going to need the bracelets.
I'm going to need the bracelets and the cape and the crown.
She doesn't have a crown.
She does. She wears that crown.
Oh, the headband.
The headband thing. Yeah, it's a crown. Right. It's a crown.
Yes, she does.
I know.
And the lasso.
And the lasso. I was going to say, I should have come prepared. Who knew? Next time I see you, I'm going to come prepared with all of the goods.
Who knew what? That I ask questions?
Yeah. You know what? You know what I like about this podcast?
It's real.
Yeah. I feel like we're having a real conversation.
That is what we're doing.
Yeah. That's not just based on bullshit. Like so many times you go on podcasts and it's just like they read off a page the questions and the person waits until maybe you're finished talking and then asks the next question. But there's a major difference between waiting and listening. There's two separate things.
That's because real conversations, that's not what happens.
Exactly.
So here, let me give you some of the questions that my team put together.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Why do you think boldness is a stronger indicator for success than intelligence?
Okay. I do believe that boldness is a stronger indicator for success than intelligence.
Being bold.
Being bold because.
Oh, by the way, this is probably to bring up your book, Bigger, Bolder, Better.
No.
Bigger, Better, Bolder.
Mm-hmm. Bigger, Better, Bolder.
Bigger, Better, Bolder. And by the way, if you guys haven't got that book, is it out right now?
Yes, it just came out in paperback too. So
yeah, go get it. Make her the #1 best-selling author of New York Times or whatever award she's trying to win for me. Let her know that the Bomb Squad put her there, so she'll come back once she's, a novelist and grace us again.
I will.
Bigger, Better, Bolder on Amazon by Jen Cohen.
Thank you.
Didn't you have a book before that too?
I had a bunch.
You have a bunch of books?
Yeah.
I thought there was one more.
No, I had a book called Strong is the New Skinny, which is because, again, it's a message about empowerment. I wanted people to feel that not everybody could be skinny, but everybody could be strong. So give people a message and a goal that they can actually attain. Because the worst thing you can do is give somebody an idea or a goal that's unattainable and they go down a bad rabbit hole. But everyone can be stronger tomorrow than they were today by just doing something different.
You can't laugh at a fish because it can't climb a tree.
Exactly. But you can, exactly. But let me go back to your other question, if you don't mind.
Please.
The bolder versus intelligence, because I think this is a very important thing for people to understand. I believe that boldness is a much stronger indicator for success than intelligence. Because when people who are too smart, they tend to overthink everything and tend not to do as much. They tend to have analysis paralysis, think about all the things that can go wrong, and they don't act. Versus people who are bold usually act and they take a chance and they take a risk and they put themselves in those situations. And I'm not saying that bold people can't be intelligent and intelligent people can't be bold. But it's my belief that boldness is the secret sauce to success. It's not intelligence.
I would agree to a point only because I agree 100%, but to a point because it depends, which it always does. But in general, in most cases, I would agree 1,000%. In some cases, which I could make up examples where you'd agree too, but you'd be like, those are dumb. Well, I know. That's why the only reason I'm saying it. But it is true. Bold will always outperform intelligence in most cases.
There's also different types of intelligence.
But I also think you can be both, bold and intelligent.
Listen, I think I'm a mix. I think you're probably a mix. This is what I wanted to say.
I'm more bold than intelligent.
Okay, me too. But what I was going to say is, it depends. There's different forms of intelligence. People tend to, again, over-index academic intelligence and not talk about
Well, that's the truth, and that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, 100%. There's a ton of I can back this by 100 times research over and over again, that street smarts will get you way further in life than academics.
That's the first triple bomb ever in the history of this show.
Really?
Better say that again.
Wow. Does that mean I can come back again?
What did you say?
I said that intelligence, academics is the whole thing. I say that this is
just that last part.
Okay, I don't remember. I was too busy listening to what you were doing over there.
Folks, you're going to have to hit replay and listen to that again. The first triple bomb in the history of the world.
Wow.
Hopefully it won't be the last.
No, I can keep on going. I have a whole theory on this whole thing. I think if you want to be an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor, academics is important because you have to go through school and do all those things to be a professional. But I think for life, in terms of EQ, in terms of all these other things you can do with your life, having street smarts will get you way further in life than anything else. And then it comes down to, people always ask me when I say this to them, well, okay, well, how did it? Then you gotta like take it back to emotional intelligence, right? Well, how do you get emotional intelligence? How do you build self-awareness? It's really hard to get street smarts if you're not put in a situation where you have to be resourceful, and then you're forced to be resourceful. You're forced to be resilient. So I'm going to even say this, and you probably may or may not agree with this, but number one, I think that if you were not given everything in life and you had to work for shit, like everything, and you were just kind of an average person, you will become more gritty and have more street smarts versus somebody who was given a lot. I think that it's usually a disservice when people come from very wealthy families. Not all the time, but most of the time, because you don't learn these qualities as hard and as well as if someone had to work for it and figure it out on their own.
So if you had a 20-year-old daughter and she was going to get married to somebody, mm-hmm. she could get married to candidate A, who's from a very wealthy family, very nice, well-mannered, well-brought up, wealthy dude, or a broke ass, wrong side of the tracks, But man, boy, nothing went his way growing up. Which would you want your daughter with?
Great question. Can you give me one more thing about this guy who's like wrong side of the tracks?
Yeah.
What is he doing with his life right now?
Drinking beer, looking for a way out. And your daughter might be the way. Might be the way out, your daughter.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Because he's broke. He's down and scrappy. He's gritty.
But depends of how, is he a hard worker?
Oh, yeah.
Is he doing everything he can to get him? I believe people will be happier. I have a lot of friends, and in my world, I have a lot of those guys. Not that one that you're talking about, the first one. A lot of spoiled, wealthy, trust fund babies, or I see them all the time. It's like in my vortex.
The majority, I would agree, are probably not the best.
And they're boring as fuck. Like I swear on this thing.
And they're entitled.
They're entitled. They're boring.
They're little dick energy.
No dick energy.
They're feminine.
Feminine. There's no care. They've built zero character.
They're clowns.
They're
just damn near embarrassments.
They're actually just very beige. Like a lot of the ones I know, they're not bad. They're just boring, and people that I have no interest in being friends with. Now all your successful
friends are going to be like, is she
talking
referring to
about me? They're not. Listen, I know a lot of them. Am I super close with lots of them? Not particularly.
Hey, so if you know Jen and you're successful, she could be talking about you, fool.
I could be. But I tend to gravitate to people who are much more self-made, who've kind of had a couple hard knocks, who had to like figure out ways outside of the situation that they're in.
Yes.
And it's made them way more colorful, interesting, ethical, all and like empathetic, all of those things. Generous. This is the
generous, huh? You motherfucker, you.
That's the way. That's a big one.
See, you don't even follow me, but I tell people, be kind, be generous, right? And be cool.
Well, you know, it's really funny. We kind of circled around it, but part of my likability thing that we talked about, another element to that is major, which is generosity. Not just with your money, but with your heart, with your words, just overall lead with giving. Like one of the best piece of advice I can give anybody, if you want to do well in the world, in every aspect of life, not just professionally, I'm talking everything. Give before you ask, and always lead with how you can help somebody. It will always come back 100-fold on you. Is this what you do with all the podcasts?
No, just whenever I feel the need.
Isn't it true though? People always have the scarcity mindset. Like,
people have a scarcity mindset. That's for damn sure.
Right. And they feel if I give them that, there's going to be less for me, or I can't do that. And they hoard all their contacts, all their money, their contacts, everything that they have that they feel that they have to hoard because someone else getting it will take away from them. But the abundance mindset and if you can reframe and change your neuroplasticity, I know you like that word.
Well, not if you can.
When you do,
it happens every day.
If you choose to think in
it
that,
happens whether you choose or not.
To be more abundant mindset.
No, your brain is constantly rewiring.
Yeah,
itself.
your brain is constantly rewiring. But what I tell people all the time, I get a lot of people, I'm sure you do too, who contact me, like college kids or people who want to intern or whatever the thing is. And, you know, they're always looking for this like magic thing that they can like glean from. But I say it's always the most simple, most basic, commonsensical things that aren't so common.
Like don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things.
Yeah, no, seriously. Not the second part, but like don't sweat the small stuff, but also lead with how I can help you. Like in my life, I think the biggest reason why I've had any success in my life in any way is because I've had people around me who wanted to see me win. And I think that people...
Well, that's your culture though.
That's my culture? I mean, in what way?
That's just your culture.
It's my culture? What do you mean my culture versus your culture?
Our culture requires people to love us.
But a lot of people can also be very competitive with you. And so how do you disarm people? You disarm them by being generous and kind and giving them no reason to want to see you lose. But
disarm, you say?
Disarm. But I also feel that I've always led with giving and helping. Like if you said to me, Brad, after this show or before, whatever, hey, do you know, I'm trying to get in touch with so-and-so, or do you know so-and-so, or I want to get this sponsor, or do you have a connection to this? My first, without even thinking, I would go into my phone and just connect you. And, or now that I know you, I would always now be thinking about like, okay, how can I help that guy do this? Or like linking things, like connecting people.
What's the purpose?
Because I want to.
I know,
that's just how my DNA is. I've always been wired that way.
So if everybody in the bomb squad starts DMing you, can you hook me up with such and such? You just find yourself all day serving everybody?
No. But I'm saying, like, listen, again, I know you're literally, but like the truth is, like, within reason, right? My point is, it's a mind shift. It's a mind frame. It's a
being
way
helpful,
I think.
Intentionally being kind and generous.
Intentionally, there's no reason to be an asshole or to be and to withhold.
Yeah.
Right. That's just not my way. And people do it with me actually all the time. Like I help people
What do
all
you
the
say to
time.
them?
When they don't help me, nothing. I move on to the. I don't. Like but when my point is, people always say to me, why are you so nice? Why are you giving that person this? Why are you doing that for so-and-so? Why are you doing it for so-and-so? Like, but even if they don't, even if it's not reciprocated, it will come back in another way, some other way to me. And that's how I really believe. And that's how I really live my life. Because if I acted like all the other assholes out there, I'm no better than them. And I'm not going to be any further off. But I believe success does not happen in a vacuum. You have to have people around you who want to see you win and who want to see you succeed, and you help elevate everybody. Like your win doesn't take away from my win. Your win just makes me feel great. Like if my friend wins, I'm the first to post it, promote it, help it, do it, because your elevation helps my frequency and my elevation, right? That to me is how people actually truly win in life in every way, not just in your business, but in your personal relationships too.
I would agree.
But?
Well, I thought you had more.
Oh, no, I'm done. I was waiting for my bomb to drop, but no, I don't get a bomb dropping.
Well, no, because I mean, don't people know this?
No.
Like it's common sense, this stuff.
Common sense is not common.
Well, it should be, or they need to change the damn name.
Do you really believe? I mean, come on. Now let's get real here, Bradley, real Bradley.
Let's do it.
Do you believe in let's just go to our business, okay? I mean, not your software business. I don't know about that business, but like in the world of personal development, motivation,
is that
podcast,
the business I'm in?
No, I think that you have like a real business.
I have real businesses, but do you think I'm in that business?
No,
do you
what
think
I
I'm
think
in the
is
personal development space?
You play in the space of personal development, don't you?
Am I a motivational speaker?
Do you speak a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you go to a lot of masterminds?
None.
Not that you actually are in, but you speak at the masterminds.
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. Do people come to you for advice?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that you give people good advice?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to break it to you, but you're kind of in the personal development, motivational space.
Okay.
Just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't really know.
Yeah, well.
Just like I don't really think I'm a podcaster.
I know, but you are a podcaster.
I know. It's what's crazy is they asked me to be on that Cameo, which is basically for celebrities. And I'm like, well, sure, I'll do Cameo. So I went one day and I thought, I wonder what they're calling me. Like, I'm not an actor. I'm not a baseball player. I'm like, I wonder what I am. So I went and looked thinking it was going to say, entrepreneur.
Right.
It said podcaster. Bradley, the famous podcaster. And I'm like, it's crazy. They're calling me a podcaster. And someone says, well, you are one. I'm like, I'm not a podcaster, bro. They're like, dude, you have a podcast. You're a podcaster.
And not just a podcast, a beautiful space to have a podcast.
And it's also a real podcast. There's a lot of people out there, they got a podcast. No one's listening to it. And they pretend everybody is, which I mean, again, listen.
100%. And I said that at the beginning of the show.
What?
That's before we started. That's exactly. Oh, you weren't filming it because I thought we started again. There's a whole new world out there where everybody. That's a business card.
Well, everyone should though.
That's a business card. I'm telling you, people use everyone has a podcast and they use
everyone
it.
Doesn't, but I see what you're saying.
I mean, maybe not everyone.
Everyone
One
doesn't.
in five people have one now.
Well, that would not even be a fraction.
Oh my God. Literally, Lee. Okay. A lot of people have podcasts.
There's a lot of podcasts in the world. But compared to people, there isn't. And I think more people should have one. Why? Because I believe that if you, well, not only that, but I believe if you have anything to say, this is a perfect medium to say it. Saying it sometimes helps people figure out who they are and what they stand for. And it, I think, helps build confidence and helps you get to know you. So anytime somebody has an opportunity to speak into a microphone that records and then share it to the world, everyone should do that. Literally everyone. But only a fraction do it. There's so few people that have the balls to freaking do a podcast. It's unbelievable. When I started this one, everyone said, dude, everyone had the podcast. You shouldn't do it. You're just going to be like everyone else. Well, once it shot up through the ranks, and not only that, this podcast has launched careers. This podcast has blown up businesses. Really. Like, this podcast has launched people.
Name me somebody. I want to go see who they are.
Well, I don't want to say launched them because then it makes it sound like I know. I'm the reason. But they were not as known, and now they're really known, and there's handfuls of them.
That's great. Well, you have listen. I like your podcast. I like your perspective. I like how you have your conversations. It's back and forth. It's dynamic. It doesn't feel like a lot of other stale podcasts out there.
Well, when this drops, the Bomb Squad, if they want me to continue, because if you don't get any attention just from this, me telling them to do it or asking them to do it, then I'll just shut it down because I have less influence than a pickle. And if that's all people appreciate, well, then I'm done. But you know the rule? If they're not listening, stop talking. You ever heard that?
No, but I like that.
Okay, well, here it is. Let me give it to you. If they're not listening, stop talking. Jen, tattoo that on your arm. And just remember, when someone's not listening, stop talking.
But what happens, you just said the other thing, which is if everyone should have a podcast, what if no one's listening?
That's not the point. That's talking out your problems, talking out your thoughts makes you a better, stronger, smarter, more developed person. Right. And it should be shared with people.
Like
and
therapy,
people,
you mean?
And people will listen. People will listen. But if no one's listening, stop talking.
So,
and by the way, that has nothing to do with the podcast. That has something to do with life. Like life. Like you know somebody where you try to tell them, they're not listening, they don't listen. Stop talking. You're only going to cause a problem with that person. Trust me, sometimes people can resent you for telling them the right things. And then they resent you and your relationship is ruined. And the relationship, folks, is the most important thing. Because if you think about when you're dying, who do you think about? Relationships. You don't think about money. You don't think about business. You don't think about how many cars you got and when you're going to drive one next. And how much money did I have? You don't think about that when you're about ready to die. You think about people. Everything else is meaningless. All you think about are people and relationships, period. And coincidentally, when you think about that, you realize, wait a minute, where does money come from? Where does money come from? Relationships. Some form of relationship is how that dollar went into your life. And by the way, usually it's a relationship that'll take it out of your life too. So it's a relationship. So if you want more money, get more relationships. Coincidentally, at the end of life, you realize what was the most important thing? Relationships.
The other thing people think about when they're on their deathbed is potential unused. That's what they think about. A lot of people think what they should have done, what I should have or could have.
That's right. Because they're never going to regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do.
Exactly. You always regret what you didn't do, not what you did. So that's why I go back to this whole rejection is always better than regret. Regret is the worst feeling. Because, rejection, yeah, does it hurt? Does it feel, is it like a guttural punch? Yeah. For like a second or two, maybe a day, a week, depending on what it is. But regret will live with you forever.
Now, you said you're a liberal.
No, I'm not a liberal. I said I'm the opposite of liberal.
Oh, what are you?
I said I'm more center right than anything, but I'm definitely not a woke. I said I'm definitely not a woke or liberal.
Oh,
why? Are you a liberal?
I don't even know what that means.
Well, you live in Vegas, so I would imagine that you're not.
Well, again, it depends. I'm probably liberal on some things.
Who are you voting for?
Well, number one, it wouldn't be Biden.
Well, exactly.
Number one, you don't vote and actually get a vote for the president or vice president. You know that?
You don't what?
You don't get a vote for the president or vice president.
You don't get a vote? What do you mean?
Do you think you're voting for a president when you vote for a president?
I think that's what they tell you you're doing.
Yeah, but do you think that's what's happening?
No. But I don't know what they're doing.
Well, you're voting for an electorate.
Okay.
The electorate votes for the president and vice president.
Who did you vote for last time?
I didn't.
You didn't vote? So who would you vote for this time?
Between who?
Let's say between Trump, it's going to be Trump and Biden.
Well, Trump, of course.
Okay.
Biden is senile.
He actually I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah, it's not a joke.
It's not
like
a joke.
He's clearly mentally incapacitated from running the government. Again, he's not totally bonkers. But
no, he's not totally
he's getting
bonkers.
old and he's not fit mentally to run an entire country to this degree. It's like, listen, Joe, sit down and just enjoy the rest of your life. Like, great, you made president. We love you, buddy. Sit, go get some ice cream, relax. Now, when it comes to Trump, again, I'm not a huge Trump fan where it's like, oh my God, Trump can kill people. I still want him in. No, show me another businessman with a little bit more couth, maybe a little bit more.
Well, couth he doesn't have. I think
well,
he has.
Again, I mean, like in other words, like Barack Obama was very
sophisticated,
right? In other words, he wasn't an embarrassment because he was classy and he spoke and he was a good representation. That's the word I'm looking for. He was a good representation.
He was a good orator is what you're saying.
Right. So in other words, I wasn't embarrassed.
No.
Now, again, with Donald Trump, I like his decisions. I like that he's businessy. I don't like him saying, some of the shit he says because why? Because again, with this, you're supposed to be representing the United States of America. I think that is a majestic, honored position. I think you need to frickin' be on your best behavior
100%.
As our president. But I also think between those two, it would be Trump all day long.
But by the way,
but now we're going to get this whole episode suppressed.
Let me tell you something, a couple of things. First of all,
we'll just say T and B. Don't say words.
Does it say T and B? Okay.
Well, unless you don't want it to be seen by anybody.
Well, that's so true. Okay. Well, B, I feel it's actually elderly abuse. At this point, they should not. They're propping him up like a Weekend at Bernie's figurine. At this point, they need to get him away, and it's embarrassing, and it's actually uncomfortable and sad to watch.
Okay, so you are a conservative. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then the other thing.
And by the way, if I had to pick, I'm probably that way too. Here's how I know, because in some cases, no, I've talked to somebody that claims they're liberal, and in some cases, I agree with them. Like, again, I don't know what you are with the pro-choice thing.
Of course.
Dude, listen, up to a point, like, dude, if it's your body, it's your choice. Now, up to a point, not at late term or anything later. Like, I think you get a window, make your damn decision when it's a microscopic tadpole. Okay, as soon as it starts getting up there in where now size. You have a baby, well then give it up for adoption. You missed your window. So either one of those. But again, I don't want to get we just went from over here to over here.
I know. But I will say this is actually interesting for me. If you want to have a conversation about it, I'm happy to have it with you.
Well, it might need to be visit 2. Visit
okay.
number
What time
2.
is it?
Well, I don't know. It's just
okay.
It's,
I can go all night. We can continue if you want. I mean, I got to interview Carrot Top, I think, at 5:00. But besides that, I'm good to go.
well, you better get on the way because it's going.
No.
You're 12 minutes. You're 18 minutes from it.
I am?
Yeah. It's 4:32 right now.
How long have we been going for? Not that long.
Hour and 9 minutes.
How long are your podcasts normally?
Hour or less.
Oh. Sorry.
But I've never had a triple whammy either.
This is maybe I should come back then.
Maybe for an episode 2.
Yeah, maybe we should do part 2. We can talk about all of these things.
Let's let the guest decide. Why don't you guys put in some comments whether you want to see Jen back for episode 2 or no go. And again, I want y'all to vote and then tell her what you voted. Go to her social media, The Real Jen Cohen.
Yeah.
And you tell her, I heard you on the Bomb Squad. Please don't come back. Or heard you on the Bomb Squad. Love to have you back. And then we'll talk
politics.
Yeah.
I also have other things I'd like to talk to you about.
Like what?
Lots of stuff. What's happening with Gaza and Israel, all the things.
Touchy shit.
I just got back from Israel. I just interviewed the president of Israel.
Damn.
Yeah. Listen, we can go for another 2 hours right now.
On your podcast?
On my podcast.
And that's Hustle and Habits?
Habits and Hustle.
Habits and Hustle. Damn, you're interviewing presidents?
Yeah, I am.
Dang, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
How do you know? I'm surprised you don't know this.
About what?
Anything. You had no idea.
I had no idea.
I'll send you that episode. It was really good.
Someone says, can this person be on your podcast? And I look and I read what I think you're going to talk about. And then I say yay or nay. But in your case, same thing. I just didn't know who you were.
That's okay.
I still don't, but I'm going to go Google you after the show.
I'm glad.
I'll be like, damn, I didn't know it was her.
That's her. Well, now that I'm likable enough, I guess.
Then I'd have to bring you back for episode 2 just to talk to you what I should have been talking to you about this whole time.
100%.
Everyone's going to be like, why didn't you ask her about this? Oh, I don't know. Was I supposed to?
We haven't even gotten to the meat of the matter. I thought we were going to get into the real meat of shit, but that's okay.
What? I like to get into the meat.
This was more the foreplay to see if we got along. If we get along enough, then we can come back and get into the nitty gritty. Listen, I don't know. Am I likable enough for you? Do you trust me?
Are you still contemplating?
Well, no, you tell me. Do you like me enough?
I trust you to be able to keep up with a conversation.
Okay. Well, that's a good beginning, right?
As far as a talk show goes, yes.
Okay. Well,
if you couldn't stick with me, if you couldn't keep up,
I'm hoping
it might not be a choice from the Bomb Squad. It might have just been vetoed by the boss.
I feel like you move quick. I mean, you got to be quick with you. I think I'm kind of keeping up. Maybe I'm like a couple beats behind, but
so what about
practice?
Gaza?
There's a lot of things about Gaza. There's a lot of things about Israel.
This is example. Because here people always ask me, what am I for or against in that case?
What do you say?
I say I'm against the ones killing.
Okay. What I'm going to tell you is this. Israel is the only nation on the planet who has to defend themselves for defending themselves. That's the first part. Hamas came into Israel on October 7th and massacred innocent people, burnt babies, killed.
Hold on, you said Hamas did?
Hamas.
Yeah.
That's the terrorist group. And massacred and killed innocent people, took hundreds of hostages, innocent people at a Nova
and parties,
music festival, and won't give us back our hostages. And that's what happened. And what Israel has tried to do is get back innocent people that belong to Israel. And Hamas will not surrender the people. So then Israel has to go and find the people amongst their people. So what they do is they use people as human shields. They use their own people as human shields to protect. The 4 hostages that were recently were saved by the IDF, they were hiding in plain sight. They were hiding at civilians' homes. And one of the hostages was at a civilian home that was a photojournalist for Al Jazeera and for CNN. So there's a lot of corruption, and a lot of misinformation out there, and and a lot of anti-Semitism because of it. And it's a real problem. What's happening on the college campuses, what's happening where the money's being funded and where it's being fueled from. Qatar is giving billions of dollars to the universities to promote and advocate for certain things to be taught in the schools, in the Ivy League schools. And it's a real issue. Now, should innocent people be killed? Absolutely not. That is horrible. But this is a war. And people are forgetting that war is ugly and war is bad. And people get killed in war. But I will say, if you go back to all of the wars in history, this has been the IDF, the Israeli army, have been exceptional at trying to create as little damage as possible by warning the people, by moving the people, and by this has been the most humane war. Not who they so they say. You know where America and CNN is getting their numbers from?
Where?
Hamas. Which is a terrorist organization. And this is what I want to tell you, and this is what you should really think about, or your listeners should think about in a real way, is that it's not just Israelis and Jewish people that they are after. They're actually after the West. Israel is just like a pebble in the big picture.
We'll wait till they get through Israel before we worry about them.
Well, no, because Israel is fighting. Israel is fighting the dirty work. I can go on about this.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Israel's the badass of the two, correct?
Israel,
correct or incorrect?
Of course they are.
Okay, so but let me just respond. So then Israel can handle it.
Israel, that's true. They can handle
right.
it.
So
you
again,
have the
now
world.
Everybody up in arms. Listen, I'll bet you anybody and everybody that's up in arms, they don't even fucking know what the hell's going on. First of all,
who?
Anybody that's up in arms.
This is what I was going to say.
Like, why are they all up in arms? It's a war. Like, dude, there's wars happen all the time. You know, we're just as bad in a lot of cases. United States of America, but just as bad. But when people say, what position do I take? I take the position of I'm against killing. So whichever side's killing, I'm against. They go, well, they both are. Well, then I'm against them both. Why? Because no one should be killing. Now, that's just ideological. That's not real. That's not possible. That's not fucking reality. So what's reality? Well, once you start bringing it down to reality, if the Hamas walked in and just snatched a bunch of kids and killed a bunch of people and took a bunch of hostages, there's the violation. Now they're going to turn around and say, yeah, but we did that because they did this to us. 800 years ago, they took our lands. Like, this ain't 800 fucking years ago anymore. Okay, like, I don't know what to tell you.
By the way, this is. I'm glad that you just brought that point up.
Well, that's what they say.
This is my point. Who is this they?
Palestinian people.
There is no such thing. The land there was no such thing. It didn't belong to them.
I'm just saying that's what they say.
But what I'm saying, most of these people
I'm
are.
not Palestinian.
I know that.
You're okay. You're safe.
Most of these people are getting their information from TikTok. That's the first
right.
thing.
They're getting their information from people that don't know shit.
And then you have people chanting from the river to the sea. If you go up to 99.9% of these people and you say to them, what does that mean? What does from the river to the sea mean? I don't know.
Kill them all.
I don't know. They don't know. People don't even know.
See, I don't know what it means, but I know it means kill them all. How do I know?
It means kill them all.
That's the mainstream media told me.
But I mean, listen.
Which could be bullshit, by the way.
Not could be bullshit. Not could be bullshit. It is. I can pull up if we had the time.
By the way, is the mainstream media more free Palestine or let our hostages go?
What the mainstream media is corrupt, and they.
And by the way, free Palestine. Who's got Palestine?
Exactly. Now, if I didn't have Carrot Top waiting for me at the Luxor Hotel, which I do, I can go into a deep dive and explain this to you. And then on top of that, what I'd like to show you next time, because I'm very passionate, as you can tell, about this topic, because I'm I've done a lot of research and education on this. And I believe if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. And I really want to be able to use my platform, not to say that I'm a genius in this. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not. But at least I'm curious and I'm asking questions and I'm speaking to people who are much more knowledgeable than I am to get the right information out there. And there has been a war in misinformation. This is the problem. It's a war of misinformation. And people who are queer and LGBTQ, I'm saying it.
Fuck if I know.
Okay. are going out there say free Palestine, do they know if they were in close to Palestine, they would be thrown off the first bridge there and get their head cut off? They wouldn't last 4 seconds. If they want a free Palestine, I will personally.
Is that who wants a free Palestine?
Yes. Are you not seeing what's happening?
The gay folks?
Yes, they're out there free Palestine.
We already know that's the wrong side.
I will pay. I'm telling you right now. I will pay for a private plane. I will take all of these people who want a free Palestine to Palestine, to Gaza.
But why do they want to free it from who?
This is the problem. We have a broken system.
You got to calm down for a moment and tell me, who are we freeing Palestine from? Who's got it?
They think this is the problem. They believe that the Israelis are the problem.
No. That's another subject.
Who? I don't know. That's my point.
Listen, let my hostages go. Whose hostages? The Israelis they have hostages with Hamas. They're saying, let us go. Let them go. That makes sense. Free Palestine. From who?
That is my point.
Okay, so who's got it?
There's no such thing.
Who's got Palestine right now?
There's no such thing.
What do you mean? Then what do they want to free?
Well, listen, if you're interested, I can break it down how this whole thing started.
I'm interested if we keep it simple, because right now I'm just trying to figure out who wants to free Palestine. Who does? The Palestinians? Which would lead me to believe
the woke and liberal side.
This
is what's happened. Okay, let me explain.
It can't be the Hamas.
It's not the Hamas. This is what's happened. There's been an infiltration of misinformation that's been funded by Qatar and all these places that are basically infiltrating and indoctrinating people who don't know anything to come here or to be here and just spew random information, and they don't even understand it themselves.
Why do you think they're doing it?
Because they want to take over the free world. That is
who does?
Hamas and
the free world is the United States of America included, and they're not taking over shit here.
Have you not seen what they've done to the Statue of Liberty and the all the different statues?
No.
They're putting those things around them.
What?
They're called, it's the white and black scarves that are, there's a name for them.
Who's putting that on the Statue of Liberty?
Okay, you know what I love?
Security would stop them.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, Brad, you have no idea what's going on. Have you not seen
well, with our government, maybe they wouldn't.
Have you not seen what's happening? Because
I don't watch. I don't sit there and stare at the news. Do you?
I have been.
You're a news junkie.
I'm very involved in what's happening right now.
Yeah, but you're also sucking the teat of the mainstream media.
No, I'm not. But what I'm looking at is to see the
information you're getting is from the mainstream media.
No, I'm not.
Then what are you watching
TV
for?
I went to Israel. I went to Gaza. I just got back from Gaza.
Why would you go to Gaza? Don't you hear there's a war over there?
I went to
And
Israel.
how did you get away, but no one else can?
I mean, I didn't go into Gaza. I was in Israel, and I went up to the border, and it was very dangerous. I had to wear a bulletproof vest. It was a whole thing.
I know, but so again, when I start hearing the mainstream media, I got to first of all realize it's the mainstream media. So if they're making the Israelis look bad, it's the mainstream media. They're making the Hamas look bad. It's the mainstream media. Like we can't trust the mainstream media, no matter what. So when people get all butthurt about one side or the other, I always wonder, well, first of all, does the mainstream media tell the truth? No. Well, then why are you deciding to believe this and why are you deciding to believe that? I don't know. Well, going there, that's a big difference. But if you went there and left, well, then my question goes back to, well, who has Palestine? Who wants to free it?
Palestine is not a real thing.
And why don't they just leave where they're being bombed? Because they know why the Israelis are bombing the Gaza area.
They can't just leave. There's a lot of things.
Yes, they can leave.
Let me tell you something.
Yes, they can leave.
Do you know
the Hamas won't let them leave, right?
I was going to say this other thing. Do you know what else? Which is interesting?
What?
That all the neighbors, all the other Arab nations don't want them. Why do you think that is?
But
it's Israel's fault. The Palestinians because they cause problems.
It's not the Palestinians that cause problems. It's the Hamas that cause problems. The Palestinians are just hard to determine which one's which.
This is what I was going to say. A lot of Palestinian people. You're right. That's what I meant to say. But a lot of they indoctrinate people at a very young age.
Yeah. So do Muslims. So do Christians. So does everybody.
But they say kill Jews at a very young age. They teach their children at 5 years old how to use a gun.
Well, the kill Jews and the kill America and death to America and all that shit. I'm against all that.
Well, you should be. Well,
right.
And what I'm trying to urge people is to really understand is do a little bit of research and education so you know how how not just detrimental it is for over there, but it's very detrimental for your lives here. Because once they do that in Israel, they're just coming after people here, and they are.
Well, they better get a bucket of lotion when they come after me.
Ooh. Literally. By the way, I gotta go interview Carrot Top.
You gotta go. Carrot Top's waiting, folks. As always, go follow Jen, the real Jen Cohen. Thank you for coming in. As always, till next time, keep that shit real.